I'll be starting in no time. Thank you. And then if you have a contact of someone you've met while seated at the workshop, just give them a call and say, hey, we're about to get started. You don't want them to miss. No, you can sit, please. I don't know. I don't know where it is. But you can. It's in front of you. So we could just have like an orderly seating arrangement. If there's an empty seat in front of you, just step forward. Welcome back, everyone, to the Education Program Workshop for the Nigeria International Energy Summit. So for those of us, I think I can see new faces who were not even part of the previous session. We've had 3 different sessions where we've looked at, the first session was preparing for a career in the energy sector, and we had Mrs. Ifejo Opara talk about how to build a profile, how to apply for jobs, how to prepare for job interviews. And then we moved on to looking at the role of education in Africa's energy transition. And we had Mr. Ebuka Nisiobi talk about coaching, mentoring, training, and how it can help you accelerate your career in the energy sector. We also moved on to we looked at the renewable energy in Nigeria, opportunities and strategies for market penetration. And then we had Mr. Ebuka Anichebe talk about that. And we're here again for, there's something about the bottom pots of every soup. They told us that it's always the sweetest. How many of us can testify or attest to that? Speakers who would be taking the next session. I've sat under them, I've listened to them, and it's usually mind-shifting. So you're in to experience something amazing. But before we invite the next speaker who will be teaching on leadership excellence, you may be wondering, how does that relate to the energy sector? Leadership is key in every sector. But before we go into that, I want us to do something. It's a speed networking. So I'm going to give us 15 seconds. And let me see how fast we can get to know as much detail about anybody. So after 15 seconds, the timer goes off. You move on to the next person. After 15 seconds, the timer goes off. And then we want to see how much details you can get about the person you meet. Are we ready to do that? Can we do that? So let me set my timer. So I don't just use an imaginary timer for this activity. Please, you can give us background music. This next person. Thank you so much. Thank you. We can return to our seats. I want to get feedback. Okay.
That's my friend. Yeah, I forgot.
I'll give you 1.5. Some persons are still talking. Okay. Their names.
I didn't get the other name very well.
Okay, that's like an easier pronunciation. Abdurrahman Kiri.
And
everybody, my name is Olajide Aribisal. I don't know if you can see me anywhere from the all. Okay, sometimes I might have to come to the middle so that makes it better for us. So we're looking at excellence in leadership. There are 2 words there. Excellence and leadership. Can anybody tell me, when you hear the word excellence, what comes to mind? Just randomly, just raise up your hand, just tell me a word. When you hear the word excellence, what comes to mind? Just one word. Optimum, love that. Perfect. What? Up to standard. Thank you. Who else again wants to say something? Success. Fine. Any other person? Leadership is selflessness. Look at what Ralph said. He said, excellence is not a skill. It's an attitude. I just want us to ponder on that. So you can't go to any school to get excellence. Now, you don't have MSc excellence or BSc excellence. It's not a skill. It's what? It's an attitude. It's a way of life. It's how you do everything you do. And that is excellence. About excellence. He said, we are what we bore a habit. So we have found two strong points there by that man. That's a coach, an American coach. Now, he said, excellence is a state of being exceptional or outstanding in a particular field, activity, or an endeavor. And finally, excellence is about achieving the best possible outcome. Please, I want us to pay attention to these definitions. It's about achieving the best to have an outcome. To these definitions. It's about achieving the best to have an outcome. If you don't go out, you decide to wake up 10 a.m., you sleep again till 12, you don't do anything, you are going to have an outcome. Outcome is a default in life. But the problem is desired outcome has to be intentional. So that's what makes the whole thing different. It's called the output, the best possible outcome. There are 50 definition of leadership. But I like to go with the one by Warren G. Bennis. Warren G. The capacity to translate vision into reality. Our discourse today. Now, right in the middle there, you find excellence in leadership, which you can to take your inputs and use those inputs to create a desired output, what you want. In time, we all have 24 hours. What are you good doing? Clearly solving a problem, information. The next thing they did was there was a vision going to the moon. The next thing was assembling the team that was going to go. So I've heard about flutter waves. When you look at their vision, it's very simple. It's what they want to make payment platform what? Easier. If you look at their website, the word easier is part of their vision. So people will pay, people will reward you when you make life easier for them. You have to trek from Bayelsa to this place. Do you know how many days you'll be on the road? The fact that you could do Port Harcourt to Abuja in 1 hour caught two guys, the Wright brothers. So that is ability to make life easier for people. So you have to recruit the people, deliberately hunt for the best. We're looking at excellence in leadership. You're starting up, you're trying to build something, you're trying to design something. Don't go and looking for a spouse. It has to be intentional. You have to seek out talent deliberately. Now let me say this, I used to say jokingly. Thank you. Can you hear me? If your beans is spoiled, your moi moi cannot be sweet. Are you staying? So it doesn't matter the level of seasoning that you put in. If the raw material, which is the beans, is not good, your end product is not going to be good. So if you bring weak men into your system, they're going to give you weak output. So you have to be intentional when you bring team, when you are forming a team. You have to look for talent. You have to look for people that are visionary. You have to look for people that are resilient. You have to look for people that are proactive. You have to look for people that are resourceful. What are we looking at? Excellence in what? In leadership. So, for example, I have a vision. My vision is, somebody called me and said, okay, Mr. Jide, I want you to turn this place to a cold room. Turn these what's it called? These all to a cold room. That's the vision. What's the vision? Turn this all to a cold room. So the next thing I begin to research for who are the people that will help me turn this room to what? To a call room. So I start looking for what? Talent. I can't stress this enough. The kind of job I do, I consult for small businesses and, big businesses. One of the greatest problems of small businesses in Nigeria is their recruitment process. They just see a girl walking on the street and say, what are you doing? Say, I'm not doing anything. Come. You pick somebody on the street and you take her to your shop and you say, oh, I sell clothes, I sell wares. You see, this one is 5,000 naira. This one is, the price tags are there. Then a person from the street, you put the person in your shop, then in few weeks, all your things are gone. Now, one of the problem of businesses in Nigeria is that we don't pay attention to recruitment. We recruit by emotion. There's a boy on your street that had graduated but he had no job for 5 years, and you say, no, let's get him in. No, you can give him, you can help him, but when he's assembling your team, you have to be strategic about the talent and the kind of people you are bringing on your team. Imagine somebody selling pure water. You sell water. Look at the weather we have, and you're on the street selling water. And I ask you for a bottle of water, and you told me there is no light. Now, what is wrong with that statement? You're selling water on the street of Abuja, 1 o'clock, hot afternoon. I took a bottle of water, not cold, and I say, why is this water not cold? And you say, light's no day in my area. So what is wrong with that conversation? What is wrong with that conversation? Are you just in Nigeria to know that light's not a day for Nigeria? You see, we are full of excuses. A lot of businesses are full of what? Excuses. We don't pay attention to quality. Somebody is sweating, the temperature is high, and you are selling hot water. Nobody wants to buy that, and you are forcing it down your throat just because you don't have light in your environment. Business is not done like that. So that is why you have to, you are going before me, is my, okay. So you have to pay attention to people that you bring into your system. So you don't give excuses, you are proactive, you are resourceful, you use what you have to get what we want to achieve. Resources is not unlimited in life. You have to always work with limited resources. So you have to train yourself to work with limited resources. And that is what is called resourcefulness. Proactivity is ability to think before trouble starts. When the trouble is knocking at the door, it's late. You should have envisaged companies that saw COVID before COVID came. They planned for COVID. While everybody was crying during COVID, they were pumping, they were clicking cups of champagne. They saw it 14 years before COVID came. That is proactivity. So you have to deliberately build your team with this kind of capacity. So the next is your merchandise. I love that word, merchandise. Merchandise could be your goods, it could be your service, it could be anything. Anything you are offering is called merchandise. Now, excellence is the unlimited ability to improve the quality of what you have to offer. Ability to improve the quality of what you have to offer. Now, you need to see the first iPhone that came out. Then you need to see what iPhone is today. Continuous improvement. Getting better. You need to see the first Model T of Henry Ford. Now, you need to see the kind of Ford vehicles that we are having today. Consistent improvement. You don't have to stay where you are. You can start anyhow, but you are not meant to stay how you are. So you get better. It has to be deliberate. You have to tell your team that how can we get this thing better? How can we improve on this? Okay, we have 2. How can we get it to 4? How can we get it to 8, to 18, to 16, to 32? You have to be intentional when it comes to what? Improvement. Are we together? It doesn't care. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter. Now, even in the energy sector, petrol was not the first product. Who can tell me first product of crude oil? Who can tell me? Petrol was not the first. Kerosene even came before petrol. Do you know that? Kerosene even came before petrol. So, but people are committed to what? Improving their what? Their merchandise. So they go into research to see what we can get out of it. And as the journey began to pursue that journey, new things began to come out. New product, and things get better and get better. So you have to deliberately improve on your product, on your services, if you are going to be excellent in leadership. Managers are going to keep your product in status quo. Leadership is meant to come into that space and say, we have sold this thing for a long time, we have to move. Now, look at all brands in the world. They improve their what? Their product. How many of you remember Coke 20 years ago? Now we have Zero Coke with what? Improvement of your what? Merchandise. It doesn't matter what you sell. Maybe a product or a service. It doesn't really matter. Anything that you are offering in exchange for money is called merchandise. So you have to be committed in improving it. I don't know what you do, but you have to pay attention to it. Now, strive to always deliver high quality of product that meets or exceed what? Expectation. Anything that is below quality, if this product does not meet your expectation one way or the other, bring it back. We're going to give you another one. Don't be a business person that when people buy things from your shop, you say, if they pay, like we say in Nigeria, money, if you pay, we know they refund money. No, don't be like that. If people want you to refund their money because they are not satisfied with your service, be willing to return money. That is how to build a culture of excellence in what you do. If you keep churning out substandard products, services to people, you're a tailor, one length of your trousers, is longer, is shorter than the other people, it's just a matter of time, nobody's going to come to you again. So you have to pay attention to it. You have to have high quality job, no excuse, no stories, don't complain. If a customer does not like what you're giving them, pay attention to solving that problem and make it better. That is excellence. Next slide. You're not following me. So the end user, you must have happy customers. In anything you do, we're looking at leadership and tilting it in business area. Maybe in business, maybe in benefiting from your product. Are they happy? If they are not happy, it has been said that a customer that is not happy will tell minimum of 250 persons. Now let me say that thing. A customer that is not happy about your product or your service, he or she will tell minimum of 250 people about your brand. So that is why when one person is satisfied, a minimum of 250 people satisfied. People will talk about you. People will talk about your brand. So you have to deliberately pay attention to it. Let me tell you, advertising in CNN cannot be compared to one word of referral. One word of referral is stronger and powerful than your advertising on CNN. By a friend or by somebody you know. Just somebody putting, oh, those guys are really good. Those guys are really good. You don't know the magic those words do to business. People must say good things about you. They recommend you, and that is how your business begins to grow. Pay attention. If you have advertised, you bring people into your system. When they taste your product and they don't like it, you have just wasted your money. How many of you started using a mechanic because you saw the advert by the roadside? No, you started using a mechanic because a friend told you about a mechanic. You started using your tailor because a friend told you about it. So that is how it works. All right. So you must focus on your customer all the time. I'm going to summarize all what I've said in two examples of guys that have built sustainable business. Even though they are dead, one is dead, his business is still doing well today. So all what I've said, I'm going to summarize it in 2 examples at the end of the slides. Okay, next. Now, I have worked with a lot of people in Nigeria. A lot of people are effort focused. Instead of what? Being what? Result focused. Leadership is about what? Results. Leadership is not about effort. Yes, we know that you need effort for you to have results, but without result, there's nothing like leadership. Now, for example, you want to get a chair into a hall. If you have tried everything to get it out, if you don't bring that chair into that hall, you have not gotten what? Your result. People don't celebrate effort. They celebrate what? Result. So excellence in leadership is about result. Always be result driven. Deliver result. The next one is what? Activity. Don't be carried away with activity. Be what? Productivity driven. What are we doing? Are we making sense? And the third one is what? Progress. I know why I'm saying this. You can be busy doing nothing. Have you not seen people in the office, 8 o'clock, they keep working, ask them by 4 o'clock what they've done. They can't point to it. So you have to build a culture of productivity. Result-oriented people, we're talking about your team now, people that are driven by what? Productivity, and people that are driven by what? By progress. When I came to join this company, our revenue was maybe 100 million. 2 years into joining them, maybe you are the leader of a marketing or the sales department. It has grown from 100 million to... I can hear you. Result, productivity, and progress. Next slide, please. Anybody know this man? If you know him, raise up your hand. You've heard about him before. How many of you have used Panasonic before? That's the guy that started Panasonic in 1918. How many years is that? The business you started 5 years is in comatose now. Gasping for breath. There's this business 1918 and it's still strong. You are still buying Panasonic ACs, Panasonic blenders, Panasonic. So how did they happen? So Konosuke was interviewed one day. We're looking at excellence in what? Leadership. Please, I want you to follow this journey so that we can get to a logical conclusion. Konosuke started Panasonic at the age of 23 with his wife and his brother-in-law in his basement. He had no money, no formal education, no experience in manufacturing, and he started Panasonic. And today, that company that was started by $0 had grown to be a company worth billions of dollars today. So they asked Konosuke, that what was your secret of building this kind of organization from zero capital to billions of dollars? Konosuke said, my success is not about the people around me. The people I know. My success was not about the school I attended. So the interviewer was really curious. He was like, so, sir, what is your success? He said, the secret to your success. He said, the secret to my success is one thing. He said, is what? Continuous improvement in what I do. He said, that is my secret. Continuous improvement, continuous growth, continuous development. Now, if you have a company, like I always advise people, have a department. Every company we have marketing, we have sales department, we have operations, we have so many departments. Please, as from today, when you get back to your office, go and create another department called R&D. What is that? Research and what? Development. That's what they do. As marketing team is going out to market people, R&D is researching. what does the future holds for this company. It has to be what? Deliberate. You have to be intentional. You don't react to what people that happens to you. You have to lead the innovation by yourself, by having the R&D department in your organization. What do? They think for the organization. They are the thinking arm for the organization. They bring report every week, and they bring report to you. You guys deliberate on the report, and you see the way to improve what you do. Don't just be interested in people just marketing your product. What about the future? So you have to have a team designed to improve what you're doing. And that is the R&D department of the organization. How many of you would, you see this advice, if you follow this advice, you have a department and you get somebody to lead that department, and their job is to think, to research, and find a better way of improving what you do. When other people are dying, you will be what? Flourishing. Because that was the secret of what? Kanasoke. Continuous development, continuous improvement. You need to see the first Panasonic product they did and the Panasonic product we have today. Totally different. Continuous improvement. Samsung started as a grocery store selling Indomies. Your Samsung. That's how they started, selling groceries. Today, they manufacture so many things. What happened? Consistent what? Improvement. Getting better and better and better. If you subscribe to continuous improvement, you will be able to be an excellent leader in everything you do. Next slide. How many of you know this guy? There are a lot of examples, but I've chosen these two guys because their stories quite very inspiring to me. This guy bought Starblock in 1987. They had 8 shops, stores. And this guy took that 6 shop that same year to over 32,000 shops now, in 80 countries. This singular man. So they asked him, how was he able to take a store from 6 to 32,000 in 80 countries? Guess what he said? He said, I focused on my employers. I focused on what? My employees, and I focused on my customers. 2 things. And I said it's part of quality. It's part of what? Excellence. Focus on people, the end that lays the golden egg. Those are your staff. Pay attention to them. Pay attention, train your staffs. Give them good salary. Make their life beautiful. They're going to give you good results. Don't think you are doing anybody a favor by employing them. It's a team. You see, we have this mindset in Nigeria. Say, if I don't give you a job, say you go shop. What the hell is that? You are working as a team. Everybody is playing their wing. The driver is playing his wing. The marketing manager is playing his wing. You are playing your wing as the leader. It's a team. It's not as if I don't give you a job, waiting you for job. No, you're missing it up. You have to pay attention to if your staff, they are not happy, your customer can never be happy. Because you are seated down on the penthouse. You don't even know what is happening in your shops in town. Everybody must be happy. Everybody must be happy. That is what makes all of us happy as a team. This guy said the secret of my success is I pay attention to my employees, I train them, I give them everything I want, and I pay attention to my customers. Every complaint must be taken care of. If they say this coffee is cold, next time they're not going to take cold coffee. Pay attention to the product, pay attention to the people that buy it, the end user, and that's what brought the success. Next. Ladies and gentlemen, success is not as hard as we think it is. if you follow the principles, no matter how small. Have you seen what controls a big Boeing 737? Have you seen what controls it? Have you seen it before? How big is the control? Extremely small. The steering is not the biggest part of a car, and is one that does the miracle of control. What you will change your business and make it better is not the big things. It's the little things you ignore. About giving compliments to your staff, about making them happy, about appreciating them, about recognizing them. Never talk down on them. Never insult them. They might not do what you want them to do. Encourage them, train them, mentor them, be a role model to them, and watch how your organization, how your business will grow. Ladies and gentlemen, it might look so small. If you follow those few points that I've spoken with you, your business will never be a part of the statistics that we have in Nigeria. Thank you very much for listening to me. So I have 10 minutes to answer questions. I just have to do this very quickly so that I can engage questions, so that it's better that way rather than just coming to talk to you. I've said certain things. You might want to ask for clarification. You want to ask me questions. Please go ahead. The time is now. Okay, there's one here.
All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Wonderful presentation. Although I did not meet it from the beginning, but the few points I listened to, I've learned a lot. But I have a question,
okay,
right? Especially on the part where you said efforts is not equals to result, movement is not equals to progress, and then the third one. I'm concerned about this because I've worked with different people, and now I lead people. I've worked with people that have the mindset that except they see the result, all your efforts is zero. They do not commend effort except they see the final result. And I've also worked with people that each step of the way, for every effort that you make, they make you feel like you've done a great thing, and they push you until you get the result. Now I lead also a lot of people, and I would like to know that as a leader, is your focus meant to be mainly on the result and not the effort made by your team along the way? And how do you balance that in order for you to get maximum result from your team? Because towards the end, I could see that you put a lot of focus on your employees, especially giving the second example where he said the secret to his success is his employees and his clients. So I need them to know the variation.
Any other question? Okay, I think let me ask the question after finish, then I'll go to the next one. Let me answer your question. The next person should be preparing. Now, you can acknowledge effort, but celebrate results. You don't know the meaning. Let me come again. Acknowledge effort along the way, but point them to the essence of that report, which is what? The result. The picture must be painted clear to them. Now, going out to talk to people, that's not what you are doing. What you are doing is bringing sales. Though you need to talk to people. Or else, if you don't do that, people will go out. They said, sir, God is my witness. I spoke to 500 people today. Brilliant. How many people subscribed? No, nothing. Then you have wasted resources of the organization, of your own self. So you have to constantly remind every member of your team that what we need to achieve is result, and acknowledge their what? Their effort. Oh, you spoke to 10 people today. Oh, awesome. So how many out of the 10 people, how many people subscribed? None. Oh, wow. You've tried, but say, we've got to get people to subscribe. So you must always or else people will just be giving you effort, and no result. Okay, another person.
Thank you so much, sir, for the presentation. My name is
Please,
Rufus.
next person, prepare for your question.
My name is Rufus. I've actually been privileged to have so many teams around, and One of the questions I want to ask is, how do you cope with a team that sometimes they are not even interested in what you're doing? They should be interested, but they are not interested in the process of what you're doing. But they feel they should be getting, and this is what we are doing, or this is where we are at this time. But they should be involved in the process. So how do you think to relate all this with you, with leadership?
Can you come again? Okay, there's a team that they're not interested in
the effort, in putting.
So what are they interested in?
They just want to know.
They want to celebrate the victory.
Yes, they just want to celebrate. They just want to know. Let me not say celebrate, but they just want to know. This is where I am now. This is where I am now. This is how far I have gone. But when you distribute responsibilities, everyone just go back and sit down and okay.
And disband those teams. They are not. That's why I said pay attention to recruitment. Don't bring fools to your team. They will make a mess of your team. Don't bring lazy people. That's why I said bring proactive people, resourceful people. Don't bring people say, why didn't you go out today? Petrol not inside official car. What is wrong with Uber? Ability to be resourceful. So immediately you have a vision. The next thing I said is assemble your team. Don't go and look for people that are available. Don't look for numbers. Look for people that are strategically recruited to get the job done. Oh, I see this person has resilience. This person is determined. Then you bring them in. Not people that will sit down and not do anything. It will affect your team. If you look at people, Microsoft, Google, people they recruit. They don't recruit just anybody. They recruit people that are diligent, people that can stay the course, people that can stay there and get results, not people that will carry their bag when it's 4 o'clock. People that will leave when the job is done, not people that will leave when it's 4 o'clock. So those are the kind of people you have to bring on your team. Can you imagine we are working on something, we want to submit a bid tomorrow, and then it's 4 o'clock, you see somebody carrying their bag. Where are you going to? You want to come up tomorrow to the office? If you don't get this job, where will your next pay come from? So it has to be that kind of thing was, if this job is not done, we're not going anywhere. Now, sometimes you think success just drops on people like a ripe cherry. It doesn't happen. Henry Ford told all his engineers, all of you are not going anywhere until we find a V8 engine. There is food, there is everything, but you are not going out until you find the solution to this problem. Everybody began to think. Eventually, the engineers that said it wasn't possible was the same engineers that found it. So when you place demand on the mental capacity of the human being, it's unlimited. But they will want to run away because if you have not given them the proper training or proper direction. So if your team don't believe in what you do, fire them or send them away and get teams that know where they're going. The next question.
Sir, I want to counter what you said now. What you said, if your team is not producing results, fire them. A lot of times, see, we have to be very realistic and we have to be very practical. Environment too matters. We have to factor in environmental factors. I grew up in Ibadan. The person that is doing business in Ibadan cannot make as much money as the person that is doing business in Lagos or Abuja. We have to consider so many factors.
Says who, sir?
Sir, it is the truth. People rush to Lagos because Lagos is a commercial nerve center. So environmental factors too matters. America is great today because they encourage creativity. Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft, these are American brands because the environment is conducive. I went for a program organized by N.I.E.S some time ago. Virtually all the IT concepts, all the major banks in America that fund IT, what's it called, anything that is creative oriented. They're from America because America has the environment is conducive, it's a good ecosystem. So environmental factors too matters. So what's the place of environment in achieving success in business? I want to address the issue of environment.
Okay.
The man that is in Taraba, Nasarawa, cannot make as much money as the person that is doing business in Lagos or Abuja.
Okay.
That's the truth.
All right.
That's the truth. Environment matters.
Have you asked your question, sir? All right. Yes. I'll answer you. Is it every business in Lagos that is making money? Is it all businesses in Lagos that is making money? No, hold on, sir. I say, is it every? Because even everybody that is going into business is going there with a sense of what? Profit. You see, we need to understand that in life, I have gotten to realize that environment, you're right, environment has a role, but environment should not limit you. Now, let me say this. Do you know why a lot of things don't happen in Nigeria? There's a law. You see, if I take a statistic of 100 young people, if I ask them one question, what are you working on? I can tell you 95% of them are not working on anything. You see, this fact of ecosystem, do you know how long it took all these inventors to work on what they are working on? It was not even government. Now, let me give you $1 as a grant. Later, Otto, that got all the government support and the grant, did not achieve anything. It was these two boys that were not, Otto was a professor. Wright brothers, they didn't go to school. It is these guys that didn't go to school that had small resources. They were the one that eventually find the success of aircraft. Not the professor that had too much money to support his grant. Now, I'm not invalidating the point you say about environment. Environment should not be a limitation in what we do with your life. Now, there was a story of this guy that had a first class in Nigeria. Medical student, he had a first class. His vision was he wanted to do research in cancer. He wanted to find a cure to cancer. Do you understand? That was what he wanted to do. And there was no job they gave to him. He was not ready to take any job, except it's a cancer center and it's towards research to cancer. As I speak to you, it's a global brand when it comes to research around cancer. Why did he get it? Because you will only find what you seek. He that seek shall find. We are not seeking things. That is why we are not finding them. Identify every young person in Nigeria. They want to blow. They want to make money. That's what they're looking for. Nobody wants to pay the price of digging and asking the question and researching. It can take you 10 years. It can take you 20 years. The people is that 20 years, I should have a car. My friends have built houses. My friends are married. That is what they do. But discovery, invention, it takes time. And you must have people that are willing to stay with it. You see, even in the U.S., it was not rosy. What's it called? This guy that did Chicken Republic, he spoke to multiple people before he could get an investor. So it's not even easy everywhere. So whether you are in Ede, you are in Taraba, I want to say that if you believe you will succeed and you engage the principle of success, you will succeed. Regardless of where you are. There are people that don't know what they are going to eat in Lagos today. There is no state that does not have a millionaire. From Kano to Kebbi to Adamawa, there is no state that there are no millionaires. And there is no state in Nigeria that are no paupers. I'm not talking about the statistics. They might be more than each other. But what I'm saying is that if Lagos is the center of success, that means everybody in Lagos should be successful. So if you have failure in Lagos, that means Lagos is not an absolute success arena. So you still have things to consider in your environment. If you go to Lagos, you don't get this principle right, you'll be frustrated. You'll be frustrated. But if you are in Ede and you get this thing right, people will come looking for you. You remember the story, if you can build a better mouse, you can do a better drug, people will even look for you no matter where you are. Even though you are in the bush, people will come to your door and knock at your door. Never let excuses, environment stop you. In Nigeria, to balance to it while I round up. I'm trying to see the best angle I can bring this. You see, my first, when I was doing my master's in the United Kingdom, I came to class one particular day, and the white lecturer called my name. And I was like, it was a mixture of a lot of blacks and white people, flesh from NYC. And I sat in the class, and then the man called me as a professor, a white guy. He couldn't even pronounce my name properly. Oh, Olajide Arabusala. I was like, so I was pinching myself. I had scored the highest in that course. So I had displaced even the white guys in my class. So when it said I scored the highest in my class, that other of my classmates should go and understudy me. So you saw a little bit white, the white folks were coming to me and like, oh, Jude, how did you do it? And I was pinching myself. My primary school was in Ekiti State. My secondary school was in Ekiti State. My university was in Ondo State. Now I'm in London, I'm in UK, I'm topping the class. Come on, something is wrong somewhere. It's like the lecturer made a mistake. Because I can't be coming from a rural area and be displaying the Oyibos. Something is wrong somewhere. That thing changed my life forever. That human beings are similar. We have the same reproductive system, the same digestive system. If a white man is about to die, your blood can save him. So the issue is that we in this part of the world, we despise knowledge. Because knowledge is not tangible. You can't see knowledge. People despise knowledge, and that's why we don't get reality. Any organization that pay attention to knowledge, go and check their life. Immediately China began to pay attention to knowledge, see where they are today. And what happened? What is happening? So it wasn't wrong with our brain. It's the wrong with our application and the way we are deploying what we are taught. So that thing stayed with me, that no matter the color of your skin, come on, I can tackle you. No matter the color of your skin, if I produce something, you should be able to what? To rival with you. So because you are white does not make you better than me. So that gave me a different. Excellence is universal. Everywhere you go, if you are excellent, people can see it and they will celebrate you and they will reward you. Don't be local. You can operate locally, but place your sites globally. And if you work that way, it's just a matter of time, things will work out well for you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to me. God bless you. Thank you.
Like, I think I'm a bit speechless. Once again, can we celebrate Mr. Olajide for that inspiring, thought-provoking session? Thank you very much. And once again, put your hands together for yourselves too. Thank you for being amazing participants and audience. So I'm not going to talk too much because I know we've spent a lot of time. We're going to be ending in the next 15 minutes or thereabouts. But we want to invite this education program, this workshop session is actually being facilitated by Vantage Consulting. And we're privileged to have the Director of International Operations with us here. He'll be coming up briefly to talk about design thinking. Design thinking. It's quite interesting. And I want you to get ready because it's going to be very informative and insightful. Please put your hands together as we make welcome Dr. Edema Orelfe.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Some people are not happy at the back. If you're happy and you know it, and you really want to show that you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, stand up. Aha. If you're happy and you know, stand up. If you're happy and you know, and you really want to show, are you happy and you know, jump up. All right, thank you very much. You may be seated. The media guys, can I just have the instrumentals that was playing prior? I'm going to try and make this as short as possible. So I don't know if you guys can see me. I'm going to try and make this as short as possible because we spent quite some time. But this is going to be about you. So instrumentals, just the background music that was playing prior. Let that just play in the background. Today has been an interesting day. My name is Dr. Edema Orelfe. I introduced myself during the first session as a runaway doctor. So I went to study medicine, and I decided not to practice medicine. and here I am in the consulting space. I'm doing quite a number of interesting things. I'm also in the NGO space. Vantage Consulting, Vantage Certification. Vantage Group basically is the company that we run. Vantage Canadian College is one of our latest branch, so to speak. Before we start, I want you all to just bow your heads. Bow your heads. Oh, you're not praying. I want you to think like this. We have opportunities to speak and listen to other people speak to us. But at the end of the day, the major issue is you and I. At the end of the day, the major focus is you, not me. At the end of the day, the major focus is juice with your life. This is for this summit, and you'll be here for the next 5 days. Think, reflect. What do you want to get out of it? I will prepare for them. I'll give you an example. So, like I was sharing in the morning section, you can bow your head, but you're listening at the same time. When I was sharing in the abroad events. We had events every month for about 3 years. By the time Russia was invading Ukraine for the first time, we were in a unique position to be able to help. And so I moved my people to be willing to help. And we raised money from 21 countries and then got the UN involved, etc., etc. They gave us about $1 million. And we did great work, to say the least. We also did some work in Congo. Now, as a result of that, when I applied to the World Bank, I was selected as a young emerging leader. And subsequently, I had the opportunity to now work there for about 2 years span before deciding to come back to Nigeria. The question is, or for me, is this. Every time there was an event, a program, before I went for that event, I would go and study the participants or the delegates or the speakers of that event. I not read about them, I would study them. I'll give you an example. So at the World Bank HQ then, I met with the president of the World Bank at the time. Why? So everybody gathered around him to ask questions. So, by the way, this is just sort of an interactive section. You'll be doing a lot of writing, you'll be doing a lot of reflecting, you'll be doing a lot of thinking, but in such a way that you would not just be listening to me speak. Now, people gathered around this man after he finished giving us his speech. And he was talking about AI and what blockchain technology can potentially be. Now, some of the things that he shared with us as far back as 2016 are now the things that people are knowing now. So you see the gap in time. Anybody that had information at that time and did something with it would have also made something of their life. So information is key. But in standing around him, people were asking him questions concerning the lecture that he had given. But I asked him questions about his PhD dissertation. I don't know if you get that. I asked him questions about his PhD dissertation because I read his dissertation. And I asked him questions about his mother, who he cited in his... and taken apart because I asked a pertinent question. The issue now is not about how much resource you have. It's resourcefulness. So when I say we're going to talk about design your life, or design your life, it's really about you, not about me. Most of the people in the oil and gas space, and I love them for this, when I ask them, why did you get into oil and gas? They'll tell me, simple, money. We want to make money. We want to be lucrative. But for all the people that I know that have done amazing things, I remember when Mr. Ebuka, who spoke to us from the UK, was speaking, he said something. He said, have a personal development plan or something like that. I don't know if those were the exact words. Was that what he said? An individual
development plan.
Have an individual development plan. And so that's simply what we are about to do. We'll run through it because of time. But anybody that doesn't have that is not prepared. This Mr. Ebuka spoke about him having a coach. Now, his coach also happens to be my coach, or one of my coaches. And the way I landed the opportunity for him to be my coach was that I identified a problem that he had. And I helped him to solve it. I'm a sucker for identifying problems. I'll give you an example. I was one of the people that wrote... Well, I was the first African to be invited to a parliament to discuss about the integration of Ukraine to the European Union at the time, because I'd just done my master's in public administration then, in Ukraine and Sweden. When I went in there, in order for me to have that access, I realized that somebody who you can refer to as like a governor of a state, he did not speak English, right? But I realized that he had done a lot of work around spaces that I was interested in. So do you know what I did? I took all of his work, all that I saw online, I converted it into a book. I wrote a book for him. I presented it to him during his birthday. And that was all the access I needed. I didn't need more. I didn't need more. How does a medical doctor end up in consulting? By the way, we consult for the military. And since before COVID up to now, there's a particular branch of military that we have consulted for continuously. And all the people in Nigeria that have that particular qualification have done it through our organization. But I'm a doctor. Resourcefulness. So the question now is, what do you want to do with your life? You see, when I told my father, Nigerian parents, I told my father that I did not want to practice medicine. First of all, they first banned me. They started with prayer. And they prayed, and they cast, and they bound. And eventually, when he came over to where I was, but when they were coming for my graduation, decade plus ago and all that, when they were coming, the ambassador of Nigeria to the country that I was asked them to come, not me. So that changed his mind a bit, because my mother is a professor of medicine. And there's no way I'll go and, school fees is not cheap now. You know what dollar rate is. You pay that money, and then the boy now comes and says, I don't want to practice. Something must be wrong with you. But when the ambassador was the one inviting him, he began to think, maybe this boy has direction in life, right? And then, eventually he came in, and the ambassador decided to host them. And they hosted them like they were hosting a dignitary. And I was very excited. I thanked the ambassador, etc., etc. That morning, or that night into the next morning, around 4 a.m., this man came and knocked on my door. Said, what do you want to do with your life? Because I had proved the point. Because for me, as far back as when I was in my third year, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Some of the things I'll be talking about today are things that I had done as of 1920. I'm not joking. In fact, maybe shortly after high school. So they always used to say that I'm part of the people that would thinking above my age and all that. I read a lot too. I'm an encyclopedia of books. I read. I still read. I consume. If I'm not, there's no day that goes by without me consuming. I'm saying all this because some of us are young, some of us have advanced in age, but there's a mixed crowd and majority of us are younger. You must be willing to grow yourself. So let's go straight to the first slide so that I don't keep talking. Are they following me? So anyway, the first slide says, imagine, okay, so it's far in the future, you are 100 years, and your 7-year-old granddaughter, and you have a 7-year-old granddaughter. Imagine you're in a wooden rocking chair overlooking the beach. She jumps to your laps and looks at you with her big bright eyes, and she says, tell me about your life. What are you most proud of? What would you tell her? So the best of pens is better than the best of memories. If you have a notepad, bring it out now. It's going to be practical. And I will ask some questions and you will answer. Don't run away. The microphone is your friend. All right? So this happens to you. You're 100 years old. You have a granddaughter. And she asks you, what are you most proud of about your life? What would your response be? Ma, are you running away, ma? What would your response be? Hey, you can sit down. What would your response be? Does anybody want to answer? Does anybody want to try to answer? Well, you see, the essence of this is for reflective thinking. Oh, you want to answer? Awesome. All right. Here, you give your mic. So just tell us your name and then go ahead.
Hey, my name is Hainan.
Hi, Hainan.
Hi. I think I will tell her that I'm most proud of living a life I was truly satisfied with. And by truly satisfied, I mean a life where I did the things that made me happy, pursued my passions, and created means, gift curation. I will tell her that I was happy that I was able to harness my passions into something that became meaningful, that brought meaning to me and to the people around me. I would tell her that I was happy, created a life that suited me, that I was contented with, and yes, that's what
So, I have a
most
question for
proud
you.
of.
Thank you very much. Now, are those things a reality today, or things that you think would be in the future?
Well, a lot of them are a reality now. A lot of them are a reality now, but most of it is still like a work in progress.
Okay.
Like takes continuous effort to, pursue the kind of life you'd be truly satisfied with living, right? There are endless career options. If you're like me, who has different interests with a short attention span, then it can be like a merry-go-round, deciding what you really want to do and what really brings you things are currently.
All right, put your hands together for her, please. Put your hands, if they give you mic, you will not talk. Now clap, now you don't want to clap. Any other person? But yeah, that's the first question, if you're writing down. Do you want to say something? Did you? No, okay, fine. Now, that's the first question. And the essence of the question is for you to think. Life can end at any point in time. I've lost friends. In fact, there was a time, was it not last year, 2022, I had like 3 burials back to back. I'm like, how those people are young people? Yes. Like this Saturday, next Saturday, next Saturday. And they were all young people under 40. All of them. Life can end at any time. At the end of the day, we must be able and willing to live lives that are worth what we desire our lives to create. Live lives that are worth what we want our lives to reflect. We live lives that are worth what our lives to, emulate. And basically, at the end of the day, a life that will serve as a legacy for all of us. Next slide. So, your life model. So, by the way, this workbook, we typically take it for about 5 hours. But I'm going to run through it. I'll probably skip a few of them. So there's birth, when you were born, your death, and then also what you do in between. So somebody said that when you go to the graveyard, you see the birth year, and you see the death year, and you see a dash. And that your life is measured by what happens within the dash. And so the question for you and I today is to also, so these are things, by the way, that you're going to take back home, and I want you to reflect on. What do you want your dash to be? What do you want your dash to mean? Next slide, because of time. Consider who or what controlled your past life. Consider who or what is controlling your present life. The past and the present will decide who or what controls your future. So typically for this, we'll take like maybe 10 minutes and run through it. But the major thing here is this. What is controlling you today? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are the areas where you do well? What are the areas where you don't do well at all? What are the areas that you think you need to work on? Now, there's a picture. Can I get a piece of paper? Piece of paper. I'll need your notepad too. Sorry, I'm a teacher, so let me try my best. So, can you all see this? It's a big circle divided into 2. And then there's another circle at the bottom. Can you see it? So just imagine a big circle. Imagine a big circle is divided into 2. Now, this represents your conscious and subconscious mind. When we are born, we take the DNA of the people that we have. So there's something called phenotypic traits. So the traits that you can look at, the things you can see. But there's another one called genotypic traits. Those are the ones you cannot see. Have you ever wondered or seen somebody, maybe a child, and the way the child talks is similar to the way the father or mother talks? Have you seen that? Yeah? Yeah. Have you seen somebody that sleeps exactly the same way the way the person carries, as the way the child also sleeps? Phenotypic. Right? You have an experience. Okay? Now, do you also know that it's possible for you to pass on fear to your child? It's not just a matter of nature versus nurture. When somewhere, a very interesting, fantastic book, if I do say so myself, says that you should fear not. And it said that the fear not is written there almost about 360 something times. And that the fear not is supposed to represent every day of the year that you are not supposed to be afraid. And because fear in itself is a social construct. But you see, when fear takes on your body. Now, for that image I was showing you, the first half of the semicircle represents your conscious mind. So, if you enter a bus or you enter a vehicle and music is playing, you may not necessarily know the song. But you find out after 15 minutes of coming out from the car that you are singing that song. Has it happened to you before? Why? You didn't learn the song. You were just hearing it. But after 15 minutes, you realize that you now know all the lyrics, or at least you know the tune. It's just playing in your head. That's because the mind is like a mobile Bluetooth. Yeah, it's like a phone with a Bluetooth constantly on. And whatever it is that passes the waves of the mind traps. So for the conscious mind, you have your eyes, you see. You have your ears, you hear. The 5 senses. That's how information comes in. But the subconscious mind is what we use to filter what comes into this conscious mind. Sounds very plenty English. But follow me. When you're born, you have your subconscious mind. You don't know anything. But gradually, the inputs that we see, the music, the talk, the environment. My mother said, in our family we are poor. My father said, in our this we are like this. Our people say, this is how we are. That now becomes self-evident in your life. Because that is what you were formed with. If we do not take care of some of the things that we're talking about in ourselves, we'll pass them on to our children. We want to pass on good traits, but biology doesn't work that way. You will pass on both good and bad traits to your children and to your offspring. So you see a man that has anger, and his son has anger. How? I know someone that had some very terrible anger. He said if he does not see blood, he will not stop. Yes, there are people like that. Oh, I worked in psychiatry that year. See, that's why I left medicine. Why? Simply because it can be passed on. So when you're doing this kind of assessment of yourself, you're taking basically stock of your life. I remember when I think I was 21, when I did a list of 100 things I wanted to have in life. Now I realized that, so you can write it down, you can go back home and write it. So 100 things that you want to have in your life. Write it. Go home and do the assignment. You'll be shocked. You might get to number 20 and find out that there's no other thing that you want. I'm telling you the truth. If we do it now, you just reach number 16 and be thinking, because you have substituted out money. Once money is out of it, you just realize that there's nothing else. But I did 100. And try and do it, please, for your sake, not for my sake. Right? Try and do it. And if you have a spouse, you're married, encourage them to do it too. You'll be surprised by the results that you get. Because if I ask you now, I can give you a microphone, just that we don't have the time. I say, what are they? Give me 10 things that you want. You now realize that everything can be sorted out with money. Or at least many of them. Many of our prayer points in this country, they are money-based. Abi? Or government. They will now begin to defer. I wish the brother that asked the question before was still here. I would have answered him to some extent. Resourcefulness is key. You can be in Oshogbo or in Taraba. It doesn't matter where you are, or Akwanga. Possibilities exist. We run 4 companies now. And it's possible to run all 4 companies from my room, literally. The question is, what kind of company are you running, right? What does it involve? How do you go about it? What information do you have? You see, now, like I said, right now people are talking about AI, ChatGPT and all that. I say in 2016, somebody told us about it. The first time I heard about Bitcoins, I'm not encouraging you to go to anyway, if you do now, it's your business. But the first time I heard about Bitcoins was worth $60. 60. I said, this is a scam. Then I heard it was 100. I said, it's a scam. When I heard it was 500, I said, there must be something in here. So I bought a little. Yes, I bought just a little. Now I wish I bought much more. Because at the time where we were selling, we watched Bitcoin grow all the way to $17,000. And then when it started coming down, I now sold, quickly so that I would not embarrass my mother. But the point is, information is key. And when you are able to design your life, so I said your past, your present, your future. You can change direction in one day. You cannot change destination in one day. You can't. So if I'm going to Lagos, let's say this is Abuja now, the map. This is the road to Lagos. If I turn the other way, I can still get to Lagos, but I'll go around the world first. The essence of having information early, the essence of doing introspection, the essence of doing self-analysis is so that you don't have to say, I'm going to Lagos. So Abuja to Lagos is 1 hour flight. But if I enter the other flight, I want to go through Russia, Czech Republic, Russia, reach Denmark, Finland, go through the back, enter Canada, and I will still get to Lagos. We'll still get to destination. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. We can't deal with this. So, okay, write your purpose statement one more time. Okay, so I want to introduce something to you. It's called your life purpose statement. You can write it down. My life purpose statement. I'm going to wrap up with this because we can't go through all that. My life purpose statement. Your life purpose statement simply is what you want your life to project. So if a 5-year-old came to you and said, what's your name, sir? Godwin. Mr. Godwin, Uncle Godwin. What is the purpose of your life? Do you have an answer? You have an answer that you can share? You do? All right, go ahead. Give me the mic, yeah.
Thank you. If a younger one meets me and say, what's the purpose of my life? I'll just tell him is to impact lives via tech and media.
What does impact
mean?
And
that impact, that has to do with, okay, first of all, I'll starting from the way I wrote it anyway, starting from my immediate environment. I said something that when you ask younger ones till tomorrow, what do you want to study in school? A lot of them just go about, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want become a doctor, or I'm not saying they're not relevant, but they don't know.
Okay, put your hands together for him. I like that. Let's talk later, Mr. Godwin. Let's speak later because I have developed a very robust curriculum that can actually train the next generation of African leaders in all areas, literally. So what I did is we have 7 schools: the School of Leadership, the School of Entrepreneurship, the School of Health and Well-being, the School of Personal Development, the School of Finance, the School of Relationships, and the School of Entrepreneurship. All 7. And we have over 100 courses that we have. Like, we're actually going to launch by the end of this month, hopefully. So we can talk about that because there's also the School of Academics and the Future of Work, which is relevant for Africa. Anyway, so put your hands together for him, please. Any other person? What's my life purpose? You see, let's go to the next slide. Okay, our slides have disappeared. Now, your life purpose must be concise, must be short as possible, must be as direct as possible, must be as memorable as possible. Are you writing? Concise. They didn't give you a notepad, eh? Sorry. Concise. Memorable so that you can always remember it. Explainable. Something that a child can literally just pick up and say, look, I have an understanding of this. Because somewhere it was written, write the vision and make it plain, so that he that reads can run. But you see, there's a difference between writing a vision, and then there's another part to make the vision clear and plain. And then for he that reads to run, it means that somebody else can read that vision when you are not even there and can still continue with it. So it means that a lot of thinking has to go into that process. All right. Keep going, please. Let's run through. Keep going. Okay, go back. Now, in also designing your life's purpose, or what your purpose or your life's purpose statement will be, I want you to also include the who, the what, and the where. What do I mean by that? Who are you trying to reach out to? Where are they? Next slide. Next. So what exactly are you doing? Where exactly do you want to do it? And for whom? You talked about vision, and that vision is more about other people and not just ourselves. Everybody that is in business, including you and I, do you know it's very easy to be a billionaire? Not Naira. Naira is not... but you know it's easy to be a millionaire. Okay, you raised your hand, you brought it down. Are you NEPA? One of my mentors, he's doing very well for himself. As you know, we always say doing very well for themselves in Nigeria. But his company is on the London Stock Exchange, so he's doing quite well. And he told me something a long time ago. He said, if you want to be a millionaire, it's very easy. Just find a problem that 1 million people have. And if you want to be a billionaire, find a problem that 1 billion people have. So, for example, now what I just shared with this man who just told me he's interested in educating children and all of that, I know that is a problem for 1.2 billion people in Africa. And if I reduce it and reduce it, at least 300 million people have that problem. And the parents of those 300 million people are aware of that problem. And if I can come up with a solution that can solve that problem, then they become my customers. Such that even if it's just $1 from each person, let's say out of the 300, because when you're doing business also, there's something called the total available market, right? And then there's total served market. So I cannot just come and say, I want to bring the next MTN into Nigeria, because Nigeria has 200 million people that can buy their current provider, MTN, Globalcom, Airtel, whoever. So I realized that, even though there are 200 million people, the real people I can really reach out to are the total available market. It might be like 30 million people. Because analysis is important. If I don't do analysis, then I'm just joking. So to become a millionaire is not hard. Reach 1 million people is to think. That's why when we do this design, like I told you, it's 5 hours. And I'm not joking, it's about 5 hours. So we can do a morning session, maybe doing this, and people are typically not done. Sometimes I go through half of the slide because it's supposed to be very interactive. But we just want to rush through as much as possible right now. But it's not complex. I wouldn't do another class where I say it's titled How to Think. It takes us about 3 hours to go through that. That's we're teaching people how to think, because people don't know how to think. How to think. And I'll walk you through the journey of thinking. It will come from a medical standpoint, then look at it from a social standpoint, then come up with something that actually works. The environment for thoughts, how to process thoughts, what time of the day is best for you to even think, things like that. Anyway, next slide. Next. Just keep going till I say stop. All right, stop. All right, so habits. Now, I was talking to a professor of computer science, and she told me something 2 days ago, literally 2 days ago. And she said that learning is not complete until habit is formed. And habit is simply something that you do repetitively on a day-by-day basis. So you do without thinking about it. Learning is not complete until habit is formed. And so you're going to ask yourself, what habits do I want to start? This is take-home assignment. What habits do I want to stop? What habits do I want to continue? Why are you smiling? And if you're not sure of what habits you need to form or start, look for the person that is closest to you. If you have a spouse, they know. They can go to the person that you are paying money. But if you want the truth, then go to the ones that are really, the ones that know you, your brothers, your sisters. Ask them, what are the things I need, what are the habits I need to form? What are my weaknesses? What are the areas that you think I need to work on? Am I one of those that will always say, I will do in the future by the grace of God? One day go better. So what are habits you want to start? What are habits you want to stop? What are habits you want to continue? I give you an example of what I used to do. So for the rest of these days, if you are interested in that, then go and figure out who are the people that are going to speak here. Go to their LinkedIn profile. Go and read their last 10 posts. Or if they're in the research world, go and read their last articles. When you meet with them, you're not saying, sir, can I have your number? I'm into this, you're into this. When you meet with them, say, sir, I saw your post on LinkedIn concerning this, about renewable energy and what the Nigerian government is trying to do. I'm also quite interested in, then you have made me, you've caught my attention. And you want to evaluate your circles instead. You don't bother yourself too much. There's some people who are not powerful and they are not in churches and all of that. In the end, determine today what you want to get out of the remaining days. Otherwise, this week will be wasted. You will just collect business cards. You collect many business cards. You don't remember any of them, and they will not remember you. Some other thing I realized that some young people now do, when they take your business card, they take a picture with you, which is smart. So when they are sending you a message, you send your picture. I was the one that was there. Okay, what next? It's not a bad thing. I mean, it's a good start. But find out, especially when you're going to meet powerful and interested people, find out what ticks them more. Access. I kid you not. One, access. I'm good with consuming, so I can read stuff. When I go to present for my organization as Director of International Ops, they used to think that I work with the U.S. Special Forces or something, because I would talk as if I would know my onion. And they gave us a job. And they gave us the jobs, and then, to God be the glory. Nigeria has its ups and downs, but thank God for everything. The point here is, with whatever pathway you choose to go, however you choose to go, make sure that you are. I usually say something, I say, grow daily, not in a day. So don't overemphasize what you can do in a day and undermine in a week or a month or a year. But make sure that every day you are adding something to your long-term plan. So when you're 100 years plus and your 7-year-old grand or great-granddaughter sits down on your leg, you can say, this is a life that I've lived and I'm proud of it. But it takes discipline. It takes commitment. And it is not easy by any means. It's not easy for anybody. But whatever it is that you have chosen, no, your springboard. Yeah. There are no limits here. The only limitation is really the space between your two ears. What is here? Simple. Simple. I hope that was helpful. We can't run through everything, but maybe we'll have some other time in the future to really go through all of this. But my desire really for you is that this program is useful, not just for attendance, not just for you to be able to get your CV worked up and all that. No. I know people that could not read and write, that took it upon themselves to read and write. I know someone that that had 3 dictionaries. He went cover to cover over 17 times. 17 times. Yes. Yes. I'm not aspire to aspire. They just give you what? True. Real people. Genuine people. I know someone that said he had read over 6,000 biographies. The essence of reading biographies is because it gives you a vocabulary of people that have gone through whatever it takes to overcome the odds. I don't know how many biographies I've listened to and read. I don't know how many. But I'm sure I've done over 1,000. I've done many. As soon as I see how this person did this, I'll watch it. How that person did this, I'll watch it. Nike, I'll watch it. Anybody that has overcome something, I will watch it. Because I realize that I'm an audio learner. I learn more by what I hear. So I'm constantly in that space. And that's where possibilities are. Because you will now see how they did it. You will now hear about their marketing strategy. You will now realize that, it was not even about hard work. If it was about hard work, then the bricklayers should be the best paid people in the world. It's not about hard work. It's not also about just smart work. Smart work, you sit in your house, you don't work. It's not just about that. It's a combination of many things. But everything that you eventually be will be dependent on what you write down and what you choose to pursue. Thank you very much. It's been lovely.
Okay. Let's come back. Let's wake up. Seems like the atmosphere just went mouth. Please can we put our hands together for Dr. Edema. How many of us are committing to go back home and complete those tasks? You're making a commitment to do that. It's very important, okay? Thank you very much. And I believe this has been value for your time. How many of us were at the first session? You were here from the first session, second, third, and this is the fourth session. How many of us stayed all through? Okay, so if you were at the first session, can I see your hand up? Okay. If you are at the second session, can I see your hand up? If you are at the third session, can I see your hand up? The final session, everyone. Okay, so I just want someone from the first session to just tell us one key thing you learned from you can go through your notes to just refresh. So I just want everyone who is here at this final session to have a grasp of what we have covered today. So from the first session, one person just talks about one key thing you learned. Second session, third session. Can we do that quickly? I would need volunteers. If not, I can also point, but I don't want to point. I just want you to volunteer. Who wants to volunteer from the first session? In less than 5 minutes, we'll be out of here. Okay?
I actually picked some things. She talked about interview, and one of the things she talked about, let me just pin that, is smelling nice. Having a good smell when going for an interview.
Yeah.
And being confident. Because one thing about your interviewer, first thing they check is your confidence, how you enter and how you go out, and also your composure. She also talked about communication skills. And one of the things I talked about in the morning is be the experience you want to see, of which she talked about. Thank you.
That's profound. Please can we put our hands together for him? So the first session we looked at building a career, in how to build a career in the energy sector. And then we looked at resume, how to build your profile on LinkedIn and all that. Thank you so much, Rufus, for that. Okay, from the second session, who wants to we want to refresh our memories before we leave. Second session, who was here? I saw people who raised up their hands for second session. Just tell us one or two things. One thing. Anyone? Rufus wants to go again. Okay. All right. Please. Just go ahead.
From the second section, that's with Abuja, right? He talked about net zero in 2060. And when our doctor talked about no jackparing anywhere, that we stay here, he talked, let me just, yes. Okay, let me just hit my point since I can't really find it. He talked about net zero in 2060. And he also talked about a lot of opportunities right here in Africa. If only we can take advantage of what is on now. Giving ourselves the next 37 years to come, so many of us will actually be doing well in the industry. And he also said the industry is wild. We can venture into a lot of things. He talked about him being a computer engineer and going into the renewable energy sector. Thank you.
Please come put our hands together for Rufus. Okay, third session. Who wants to? Okay, thank you so much. Please give her the mic.
So what I picked from the third session, Mr. Jide talked about when you're starting a business, you should have a vision. It's not just about, getting your company name and just starting up without having an idea. And what I picked from his personal experience is not to be limited by your environment.
Yeah.
Do not say, because I am from Oshogbo or I'm from wherever I am, I can't make it, quote and unquote. So having a vision, finding the structure to how you want to present yourself, I think that's a pathway to success. And being, like I said, not being limited by your environment. So that really touched me, because here in Nigeria, we like to come up with a lot of excuses.
Excuses, yeah.
And aside from that, to be honest, there are a lot of things working against us.
Yeah.
But we can always find a way around that. That's
Okay, that's beautiful. Please, can we put our hands together for her? Okay, please give her the mic. Let's also hear from her.
Thank you. I was a bit late. I was not here when he fully started, but honestly, I enjoyed that section because he told us that the vision is about improving life. That you have to pay attention to life, it's solving problem, and he told us that you should pay attention to the people you gather because many times people gather the wrong people. Somebody said, "What about you have people to work with and they're giving you excuses?" And then the man said, it means you gather the wrong people. You can disband them. Yeah. In fact, that's what you should do. Then look for people who are talented, who are resourceful, so that you be able to achieve the required results. And then, let me see. Did he say anything? He said you can start anyhow, but improve constantly. You make sure you constantly improve on whatever you're doing. Because if you don't improve, you're almost dying. Thank you.
Please can we put our hands together for her? Thank you. And then this final session with Dr. Edema, who wants to just say...
So good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you for this great opportunity. I came late, but I was constantly participating in Nigeria International Petroleum Summit before it would turn to NIES, Nigeria International Energy Summit. This session was very interactive, and with the section, with the thought and the mentorship I got from this session, I was able to venture into oil and gas sector, where I was playing a little bit role in giving an awareness how to switch from oil to gas. But then in the last do some engagement, what makes impress me and what I get from what he is saying is that habits. What mostly nails Nigerian youths and women is just a bad habit. If you develop a good habit, you will be a captain or a big player in the oil and gas sector. What I realize, all the people that work in an oil and gas industries or sector or factories or companies, they are the kind of people that have a potential and a resource habit. Given an example, the way they dressed, the way they addressed you, the way he said, the way they smell to you, you know that these people, they are into oil and gas sector. Nobody will just tell you that because their habits, their attitudes, their behaviors, the way they are, you know that these people, they are not politicians, they are not traders, they are not N-Power beneficiaries. So I urge all of us that are participating in this, let's emulate a good habit. If you change your habits, your life will be better.
Yeah.
Like you're drinking water in the night. You discover that it will kill your cholesterol or it gather something into your stomach or whatever. If you stop, you go to your doctor and he will tell you that you are okay. You don't have malaria, you don't have anything. Right. It's because of your habits.
Thank you.
So thank you very much.
Please can we put our hands together for him? And then, okay, we have two persons. One, and I'll just be here. Don't worry, let me give her. So you just do.
Thank you. My name is Engineer Adewale Abosede. What I learned from the design thinking is that we need to write our purpose statement has to be concise, memorable, writable. You need to write it down so that at least you can see it. And then that success, the major issue why people are not successful is their inability to think. But when you can think, then you can achieve your purpose in life. Thank you.
Beautiful. Please can we put our hands together for her? And then finally, let's hear from you.
So lastly, I just wanted to add, I was quite impressed with the way Dr. Edema approached this topic, because he mentioned self-introspection And I think that's a very important thing. Personally, one thing I'm scared of is being the hamster on the wheel, just going about routinely. And throughout the course of life, we sometimes find ourselves in that position. So when we take that time to look at our purpose, why are we here? What am I trying to achieve? Who am I trying to help? It is very important. That's what I got.
Okay, please can we put our hands together for her? Wow, okay, someone wants to say something. All right, let's just allow her and then.
Honestly, I don't even know whether it's because I'm fully available for this last course. I found it very interesting, especially where you have to tell your grandchild.
Yeah.
Where you have to answer that question, meaning that it's a point where you have to state your achievements in life. Are they satisfactory? Can you really tell yourself that you are satisfied with whatever you have done so far in life? Yeah. And it got me thinking, can I really say that I have achieved anything at this my age now? Have I achieved anything meaningful? Is there anything I can be proud of that this thing came from me? What am I planning for the next years of my life that at the end of the day, I'll be able to tell my grandchildren, see what your grandmother was able to do, and they today will be proud of me. And then other things that she has taught us today, that we should go back and do all these assignments because I know they will help us. Yeah. Honestly, it's the bedrock of most of these activities in life. If you are able to answer that question, then you have everything you want. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Please, can we all put our hands together for ourselves? You would agree with me that it has been a very insightful, inspiring, educative session. True, all of us? True. And it lies in our hands to go back and take action. Education is power, and we have acquired information here. What we do with the information we have acquired will determine the result we would get. So it's left for us to go back, just like he gave a very important tip that would help us for networking for the next 3-4 days. So this is still the first day. So it's more like you can position yourself to attract those mentors, coaches, or whoever you want to attract in the energy sector. So let's go back, implement all we've learned, and hopefully we see everyone here at the top. Thank you very much for attending the Nigeria International Energy Summit Education Program, proudly brought to you by Vantage Consulting. You can go over to the stand where we have the Vantage Canadian College to get more information about our organization. And also, you can see Dr. Edema if you want more information about Vantage Consulting generally. Thank you very much. It has been a great time working as the moderator for this workshop. My name remains Mac-Ann Obize. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening.